G'day guys, how you going? Hope you're having a fantastic evening or morning or afternoon wherever you are around the world. I'm hoping you have a fantastic time of it. I have to apologise, I just got out of the shower, so that's why I look like a drowned rat. But this video is not about my appearance, this is about a film review that I'm going to be doing. Now this film was sent to me yesterday by my good friend Jamie, aka JR Sari. She sent me this film, very kind of her. I did a shout out video for her yesterday. So yeah, she gave me this film, but this was actually a film I was recommended a few months ago by another good YouTube friend of mine, Mike, 81 Oak Ridge STF. I'm sure all of you in the horror community know about Mike. He's a really, really awesome guy. Has a lot of shit put on him from haters, which is really unfair. He's an awesome guy, and if these haters took the time and effort to know him, then they wouldn't be wasting their time. But anyway, they're parasites, and it's really good that Mike just keeps strong and just goes straight through it, because it's not worth getting upset over these wankers who try to bring you down. Anyway, he recommended me this film, and so I've been interested ever since. And so yeah, I was really happy, as I said in my last video, really happy when I finally got this from Jamie. It's a used copy, but it actually worked really, really well. So I didn't care if it was used or whatever, just the opportunity to see it. So I finally saw it yesterday, and I'm going to be doing a review. So this is Gaspar Noe's 1998 film. Now Gaspar Noe also directed Irreversible, but this one was before Irreversible, and this is I Stand Alone. Now this film is about a butcher played by Philippe Nahon. I think that's how you say his name. Philippe Nahon, he's been in a lot of French films. He's the bad guy off High Tension. He was off Brotherhood of the Wolf. He's off the start of Irreversible. He was the professor in Humanes. He's been in many, many, many French films. I think he was also off a very recent French horror film called The Pack. So he's a very, very familiar French face. So if you're into French cinema, you will know who I'm talking about as soon as you see him, because he's a very recognisable character. So anyway, he plays this butcher. Now he's just recently come out of prison. He was sentenced to prison for a while for mistakenly attacking this guy who he thought molested his handicapped young daughter. So he goes to jail as a result of that, and his daughter goes to Paris in this institution. Sorry, it's late and I forget how to talk sometimes. So she is sent to this institution while he goes to prison. So now he gets out of prison and he doesn't have a job, and he comes home to this wife of his. I think it was wife or girlfriend. He's staying with her, and she is an absolute horror. Now this woman, she's pregnant with the baby, and the butcher is the father. And she is putting the butcher down at every given opportunity. Now, I say the butcher, I can't recall if his name was actually said, but yeah, I can't remember if it was, but yeah, I'll just be calling him the butcher. He's the main character. But anyway, his wife is putting him down at every given opportunity, saying he's useless. This butcher can't find a job, and she's saying, "Why can't you? You're stupid. You're no good." So and so, pretty foul language. And she's just treating him like crap. And eventually he snaps and he does something very, very shocking to her. I'm not going to give that away, you have to watch it to find out, but in true Gaspar Noe style, he delivers a very, very shocking scene, which left me, yeah, I wasn't expecting that. As a result of this shocking scene, Philip Nanon's character has to flee his home because he knows the police are going to be after him. So he goes to Paris, and he's going to try and start fresh. So he looks around for jobs. He keeps getting rejected. He goes to friends to see if he can borrow a few dollars from them, but they're broke themselves. So no matter how hard this butcher tries, he just can't find any. He doesn't have any sort of break. It's all bad news, and things are going from bad to worse for him very quickly. So eventually he decides that he's had enough, and he just wants to take his daughter out of this institution and spend some time with her. And that's as far as I go with the story, because I don't want to give too much away. It is a very simple sort of story, but it's definitely something that it really does need sort of minimal description. So that's as far as I go with the story. Now, this story would have failed if it didn't have a strong dialogue, sort of, if it wasn't well written. Now, there are a lot of, pretty much 80% of this film is talk, and there's a lot of mind chatter going on in his head. He's a very, very negative guy, obviously, right? You've had this much bad luck, you'd start thinking negatively about the world. But he goes to extremes. He has these really, really disturbing thoughts. He hates women. He's saying they're useless C's, the terrible C word. I'm not going to say it on YouTube. But he says they're all the same. All they are good for is to have sex with, but then they have a baby and all the fun's over. So he's really hating the world. He's really hating women. He's had some bad experiences with women, therefore, he's going off the deep end and really, really irrational thoughts. And he's saying, everybody that rejects him when he goes for a job interview, they're losers. He's going to get them. He's going to shoot them. And just his thought processes start to get more and more morbid and disturbing. And you kind of think towards the end, he just might snap. And this is really a dangerous sort of guy because the stuff he is thinking is definitely not normal, and he really does need help. So he goes through, he's pretty much alone, he's got no real friends, and he is kind of a pig, but at the same time I really did feel sorry for him. Now he does some shocking things in this film, but while I'm not condoning what he did, I can understand how someone could be brought to doing that sort of stuff because he's just been constantly uh, just rejected. He's been put down at every given opportunity. So throughout the whole film, it's just him trying to. It's pretty much him versus the world. Now the world is against him. That's what he's thinking. You'd have good reason to think that sort of thing if you're in his shoes. So this really is a psychological look at the mind of a disturbed person. Now, as I said, this really did need a good script to keep it floating. Because a bad script with this kind of film, there is not, as I said, it's 80% dialogue, and there are a lot of panning shots. You see him from a distance just walking down the street for about, I don't know, 2 to 3 minutes or so. And that can come across as really boring, but this is where the chatter in his mind, this is where it really comes to, this is where you really notice it, how well this film is written, because I could have easily been so bored with those scenes, but I was really, really interested because what he was saying, while I can relate to some of what he was saying, uh, when I was in my worst days, I wasn't thinking the disturbing things that this guy was thinking, but I had the same sort of thing happening to me. I had this constant negative mind chatter. And for all of you guys who have been through depression or been through hard times in life, you will relate to this guy in some way. As I said, this guy is truly disturbed, so it won't be as extreme. Well, I think it won't be as extreme, but you can sort of understand the process that this guy's going through. And Gaspar Noe, I have to say, this guy is an absolute genius because just like Irreversible, this film really does sort of, an arm comes out of the screen and grabs you by the throat and pulls you in, and you feel exactly what this guy's feeling. Now, there are some camera shots where it will just zoom in very quickly and there'll be a loud noise and it'll keeps you on edge. And that's exactly what this guy was feeling in this film, very much on edge. Uh, you knew, you kind of had this thought that he could just snap at any minute because you get the feeling that things are slowly starting to boil up and soon everything's going to overflow and explode. And I'm not going to tell you if it happens at the end, but throughout the whole film, it's just a build-up. And there is nothing at all happy about this film. Do not get this film if you're not into the more extreme side of cinema. This is a very depressing film, one of the most depressing films I've ever seen, and one of the most disturbing films I've ever seen. Now, once again, similar to Irreversible, there are only 2 or 3 really shocking scenes in this film, but it's not excessive gore. And I don't think they are quite as shocking as the scenes in Irreversible. But having said that, this is a very shocking film. The violence is very graphic, and there's also a very, very graphic sex scene. Now, he goes into this theatre, a porno theatre, and he watches this porn film, and you can actually see the penetration and everything. So it was a very graphic scene. I was actually surprised because this isn't a porno, but it had very, very graphic sex. So if that kind of thing offends you, then I would stay away from this film. But for fans of French Extreme, especially if you like Irreversible, definitely go out and see this one. This is a must. I wouldn't say it was as good as Irreversible, but I wouldn't say it was as bad as Irreversible at the same time. So that's how highly I think of this film. Great acting, Philip Nahon. He really, it was pretty much all the focus was solely on him, so he had to have a standout performance, and that's exactly what he did. This is a very, very good film. If you're into the extreme stuff, definitely look out for this one and get it. Alright guys, that's my review. I'm 10 minutes, so it's a pretty long review, but it's the sort of film that I had to talk a lot about. So hope you enjoyed it. Hope I didn't bore you too much, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.